We have Miles Gordon, the artisanal dietitian, back with us today. And how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing a lot better now. My arm's like mostly healed up, so that's good. How about you though?
I'm doing great, and I'm really glad to hear it's healing. And coincidentally, I wanted to show you what I came up with for the health sensor data idea that you brought to me. So, why don't you give us all a little recap of what it was you had kind of told me?
Yeah, totally. Well, as you know, I about 2 months ago broke my shoulder in like three places while I was snowboarding.
Ugh.
It was a bit rough, and I hadn't really been to a hospital or an ER since I was like, I don't know, really young. To say it gives me anxiety is definitely an understatement. So I wanted to kind of distract myself a bit by, talking to the nurses and asking about their devices and just what kind of data they were collecting and how it worked. So one of the nurses actually was telling me about a wearable device that sends back all your, typical vital signs for monitoring.
Yeah, and that's the part that I keyed in on and what I wanted to show you. So I'm gonna show this new function in DeltaStream Fusion, which allows us to write to and read from Apache Iceberg after we process data from Kafka. So that's that streaming data coming in from those devices and be able to do stuff with it before we land it in Iceberg and then do more stuff with it once it's there, that analytics. And you do that all from DeltaStream.
Right, yeah. The last time we talked, you gave me a bit of a showcase on how that works. So yeah, let's see what you got now.
All right, let me share my screen and I will explain the scenario that we're doing. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to show a little bit of this data and then I'll explain what this data is doing. So I started this program running a little while ago because it's generating a ton of data. So let's take a look at what's in the Kafka topic right now. So this inbound data is a Kafka topic, right? I set it up to have 100 patients. The sensor data is emitted every 10 minutes for 6 months starting on June 1st. So that means every patient has to emit data within a 10-minute block, and it all needs to be sequentially um, parsed out. Okay. So it looks
Right.
like this. And the way I defined it, I gave it sort of normal bounds for people that weren't having hardcore issues. So when it generates blood pressure and heart rate and all of that, those are all kind of within normal bounds. Now, that data, I'm going to aggregate the heart rate data because what I want to do is get the average heart rate per patient from Kafka and write that into Iceberg. Then from there, I'm going to read Iceberg to find the top 3 patients with the highest daily heart rate for each month.
Okay. Right. So you've got the data in Iceberg and can just raw dump it into DeltaStream.
Well, it's actually kind of the opposite of that. So DeltaStream's reading the Kafka topic. I'm going to aggregate the heart rate for each patient within a bounding and write that out to Iceberg. Data's
Okay.
We've done the work on the data, so now it's going to sit in Iceberg, allowing us to do analysis on it from pretty much any tool we want. But we're also able to do it from DeltaStream with DeltaStream Fusion.
Okay.
Hopefully that makes sense. I know it's a lot going on. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a DeltaStream object type of stream. So we'll run that. That's going to make an overlay of that Kafka topic that we just looked at. So there's our health data and there's everything that's in it. Now, just to kind of show you a little some, we can now query that and take a look. Let's let's just look for patient 9. Okay, so there we go. You've got a
Wow. Yeah, that looks great. What about those three heart rates you're talking about for each month, though?
Okay, so that's where we're going to aggregate that out to Kafka, right? So we're going to, I keep using the word aggregate, but we're going to aggregate the hourly heart rate out of Kafka for each patient into an Iceberg table. Let me start that running, and we want to switch that to Iceberg. So if I look over here at my configured data stores, I have Iceberg REST catalog already configured. And this is my namespace, which I already set up. But you can see there's no catalog there. That's what's going to
Right.
get created when I issue this CTAS command.
Okay.
Now you can see the table is in Iceberg. So this is actually processing the data right now. So we'll just give that a minute, because I have about 2.5 million records in this topic that are flowing in. So I'm going to let that aggregate for a sec. Okay, let's do a little summary on what should be in that table now. We're going to be reading the average heart rate CTAS that we defined. Okay, see that?
Yeah, all right.
We've got 3,600 per.
Wow. Okay, so is this where the top 3 heart rates are going to be coming in, which that you mentioned?
Patience, my good man. Here is where we get to the meat of it. So let me get this running, and I will give you an explanation of what's happening here to some extent. So let me get my query. I'll pull this down a little bit. And we'll hit run.
Okay, yeah, I can see you're using that common table expression to get that temporary result set from all the data extractions.
You are correct. And now let's see the results of our query. There you go.
Oh, yeah, that is pretty impressive. It seems like a pretty classic shift left paradigm. You're doing the processing aggregation on the data stream on its way to Iceberg, and then you've got less data stored to deal with on the compute side of things. I mean, the fact that you just read that right back out in DeltaStream really brings it all together.
You are exactly correct. You can see all the months there, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8. And that was quick. I mean, that came right back. And so, once again, we see the value of DeltaStream Fusion. And because you're taking advantage of open table formats, you could just use something like Grafana to graph that data directly from Iceberg as well. But this gave us immediate results on a query that we had running, and we'd be able to look at that in real time.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. I mean, thank you for sharing that and all the work that you put into that showcase and the idea that I mentioned.
You are welcome. And it was not trivial to simulate the data, but it
Yeah,
replicated a real world situation, which
for sure, for
was
sure.
good. Yeah, got me thinking. So thank you again for joining me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. No, thank you for having me again. I appreciate it as well.
Okay, take care.
See ya.